A long time ago, in a small village, there lived a king named Base. King Base was not just wicked, he was heartless. He didn't care about anyone, not even his wives or the people in his kingdom. Everybody feared him. His name alone sent shivers down spines. In this same village, there was an old widow named Mama Bukka. She was poor, and she had only one son, Bukka. Life was tough for them. Most days, they had nothing to eat and had to beg just to survive. One day, hunger became too much for Mama Bukka. She called her son. Bukka, my son, I can't bear this hunger anymore. Go to the palace and beg the king for food. Maybe, just maybe, he will have pity on us. Bukka obeyed his mother. He went to the palace, knelt before the king, and cried, "Your Majesty, please help us. My mother and I have not eaten for days. Please, we are begging for food." But instead of helping, King Base's wickedness showed itself. He looked at Bukka and shouted, "Arrest this boy. He is a thief. He has stolen my royal bead." Bukka was shocked. "Your Majesty, I am not a thief. I swear on my mother's life, I only came here to beg for food," he pleaded, crying. But the king didn't listen. He dragged Bukka before the entire village, called him a thief, and ordered his execution. That day, Bukka was beheaded. When Mama Bukka heard the news, she ran to the palace, wailing. She fell to the ground and cried, "My son was innocent. King Base, because of your wickedness, I curse you today. If my son was innocent, may your ears continue to grow every year until you confess your sins." At first, the king laughed, but not for long. Weeks later, his ears started growing. They grew so long that he couldn't hide them anymore. He had to start wearing a big cap to cover them. As the years went by, the ears continued to grow, and the cap became bigger and bigger. To fit his ears under the cap, the king would roll them up like a mat. One day, the king called a barber to cut his hair. Before the barber touched the king's head, King Base made him swear an oath. "Whatever you see today, you must never tell anyone. If you do, you will die." The barber, afraid, swore. When the king removed his cap, the barber was shocked to see the longest ears he had ever seen. He cut the king's hair quietly and left. But the barber couldn't sleep. The secret weighed on him like a heavy burden. One day, the barber couldn't take it anymore. He went deep into the forest, dug a big hole in the ground, and shouted into it, "King Base has the longest ears. King Base has the longest ears." He covered the hole and went home, finally feeling relieved. 3 days later, strange birds began to sing in the village. Their song was clear. "King Base has the longest ears. King Base has the longest ears." Soon, the village drunkard picked up the song. As he staggered through the streets, he sang loudly, "King Base has the longest ears. No wonder his cap keeps getting bigger every year." Gossip spread like wildfire. The villagers whispered, "So that's why he always wears that big cap. The curse must be real." The king was furious. He summoned the barber. "You're the only one who knows my secret. How did the villagers find out?" The barber swore he didn't tell anyone. The king called the chief priest to investigate. The chief priest said, "Your Majesty, the secret was not spread by any human. It was the birds who carried the message." The king was helpless as his ears kept growing. Finally, he realized that the curse would never end until he made things right. Swallowing his pride, he went to Mama Bukka, knelt before her, and begged for forgiveness. "Mama, please forgive me. I wronged your son, and I have suffered for it." Mama Bukka, seeing his genuine remorse, forgave him and reversed the curse. Instantly, the king's ears returned to normal. From that day, King Base became a changed man. He ruled with kindness and fairness, and the villagers no longer feared him. And so, the story of King Base and his long ears became a lesson for generations. Wickedness will always be punished, but forgiveness can bring redemption.